My name's Eric McKay. Thank you so much for joining us. Hope you had a great weekend. A southeast Nebraska man is in custody after the weekend shooting death of a woman. Responding police say they were able to get 2 children out of a home shortly before taking the suspect into custody. Doug Kennedy has more.
Beatrice police were summoned by phone from inside the house by a 19-year-old at the residence along Hillcrest Avenue.
They had said that the doors were barricaded and they could not get out of the house. So the officers on shift had formulated a plan to basically break into the door. At the same time, coordinate with the kids to hey, when we open that door, we want you guys to come up so you can get out. And that's kind of what happened.
Police were sent to the house in the 2200 block of Hillcrest at around 4:30 a.m. Southeast Communications dispatchers were on the phone with a 19-year-old who, along with a 12-year-old, were present at the time of the incident.
Suspect was in another room, came around the corner, and the officers took him into custody at that point.
Beatrice Police Director Jay Murphy says the woman killed was struck by up to 3 shots from a handgun, which law officers have recovered. No shots were fired at the children in the house, nor at officers when they took the suspect into custody. The suspect is identified as Christopher Michael Milkey, and he's being held in the Gage County Jail on suspicion of first-degree murder, 2 counts of kidnapping, and use of a firearm to commit a felony. Murphy said the Nebraska State Patrol is aiding local police in investigation and a possible motive for the shooting.
They're getting a layout of the measurements and so forth of the inside of the residence. They're going to collect some electronics, do some analyzing on those, and hopefully we can get us an answer.
Police had not released the name of the victim, who was found in a bedroom and died at the scene. From Beatrice, Doug Kennedy, News Channel, Nebraska.
Now, we received word this morning that police have identified the victim, 42-year-old Tammy Leslie. Authorities say they're seeking the public's help now in establishing a motive. A man killed in a Sunday morning homicide has been identified. Lincoln police say 24-year-old Savion Hopkins was killed after a fight near North 11th and O, right downtown. Police say 2 men, including Hopkins, were found suffering from gunshot wounds. Hopkins died at the hospital. A second victim, a man in his 40s, is expected to survive. No arrests have been made. Lincoln police say they're looking for anyone who may have info about or video of the incident. Now, that fatal shooting, part of a violent weekend in the capital city. Another shooting happened late Saturday near East Campus. A 20-year-old Lincoln woman was found suffering from gunshot wounds. She's listed in stable condition. No arrests have been made related to this shooting either. These 2 incidents followed a third on Saturday, where 51-year-old David Blackburn of Lincoln was arrested after firing a gun at a building in North Lincoln. No one was injured in that incident. A pilot and passengers are safe after a plane made an emergency landing in a central Nebraska field. It happened in rural Merritt County, about 12 miles northeast of Grand Island. Sheriff's officials say a pilot and 2 others were en route to Grand Island, but had to land in a field because their fuel was low. The sheriff's office says the pilot landed the plane, causing minimal damage and without anyone getting injured. A northeast Nebraska farmer is safe after getting trapped in a grain bin over the weekend. The Stanton County Sheriff's Office shared these images of the rescue about 5 miles northwest of Stanton. Rescue officials say when they arrived yesterday, the 84-year-old farmer was found in the bin, trapped in corn up to his neck. Rescue officials spent about an hour stabilizing and removing the corn from the bin before lifting the man out. He was taken to a Norfolk hospital for evaluation and treatment. Sheriff's officials tell us the farmer had tied himself off with a rope at the waist, which prevented him from going completely under the corn and likely saved his life. A 21-year-old Pemberley Place employee was arrested last week for forging checks from a 76-year-old resident's account. The fraud was discovered when the woman noticed $1,800 in unauthorized transactions during a financial advisor meeting. The checks were dated from last month and made out to the employee. When facility directors confronted the employee, they say she admitted to writing the checks to herself and depositing them via mobile deposit. She said she claimed financial desperation was her motive. The Cheyenne County Chamber of Commerce celebrated the return of Sidney-based ambulance service on Friday. The Chamber and Sidney Regional Medical Center's EMS program held a ribbon-cutting event celebrating a community-based emergency medical services program in Sidney. EMS Director Shannon Odie took part in the ribbon cutting, explaining the service.
In cooperation with the county and the city, we were able to set this service up in record time. We feel that it's a very high quality service for the community. All the work from all the department heads at SRMC, all the staff at SRMC that helped us get this up in record time, it was just nothing short of amazing.
Establishing an EMS service with their name on it took more than a year, according to SRMC CEO Jason Pettick.
About a year ago, Regional West was pulling some of the EMS services out of some of the communities that they were serving, and we were fortunate enough that Morrill County had an ambulance service at that time, and they stepped forward to kind of provide that service for us for the year. So that's who's been providing service for the past year, and that then has allowed us the time to put things together in a transition point so it's not a crisis, and that we can have a nice smooth transition with Morrill County, working with both, again, the city and the county, the hospital, involving our medical director, Dr. Smith, to make sure that we get, all of the I's dotted and T's crossed.
Odie said SRMC took over 911 medical services at the end of last month. The mother of the suspected shooter accused of killing 4 people at a high school in Georgia reportedly called a school counselor with a warning before the attack. Reports say Marcy Gray called the school at 9:50 in the morning of last Wednesday's attack. She described an extreme emergency involving her 14-year-old son, Colt. 20 minutes later, the teen allegedly opened fire inside Appalachia High School outside of Atlanta. Gray's sister, Annie Brown, confirmed the call to the school. Brown shares a phone plan with her sister and said she viewed a log of the calls made that day. 2 teachers and 2 students were killed. 9 others suffered injuries during the shooting. Meanwhile, it's still unclear when classes will resume at Appalachia. The principal sent a letter to parents and students yesterday. She said school leaders are trying to determine the next steps for students and staff. Students will be allowed to retrieve their belongings today, but the school's trying to figure out the best way forward. Last week, a 14-year-old in a Georgia high school killed 2 students and 2 teachers. Safety in schools once again top of mind. Our Ana Ruth Lugo Mejia spoke with officials and law enforcement in central Nebraska to see what they do to ensure student safety.
It's been 3 weeks since Grand Island Central Catholic Elementary School had its ribbon cutting, and it's been 3 weeks since classes started, and teachers and staff have something ringing on their minds already. Student safety is once again a topic of discussion, and it is something that here at GICC is taken seriously.
It's something that keeps us up at night as educators, knowing that nobody can be prepared for that entirely, and it's a reality that we live in right now, that we have to do everything that we can to ensure that we have a safe building here.
Superintendent and Principal Dr. Jordan Ingle says students have been trained in case of an emergency. Local schools follow the standard response protocol.
The Grand Island Police Department and Nebraska State Patrol are both wonderful partners to work with, as they will send people to our building to assist us in those lockdown drill situations, to help us identify any weak points that we might have, to ensure that students understand the protocol and what it means when those situations arise.
The standard response protocol is used nationally in schools. It provides consistent, clear, shared language and actions among all students, staff, and first responders that can be applied in any emergency. Cameras, lock exterior doors, and bullet-resistant glass are some of the things that Grand Island Central Catholic has to ensure the safety of students. Ingo says GICC does 2 active shooter drills a year. Teachers have also received training and work closely with local agencies to ensure students are safe. Grand Island Police Chief Kevin Denny cannot discuss specific details for security reasons, but says the priority when arriving at a scene is to deal with the threat and minimize any danger to the community, students, and staff.
And so if a Grand Island police officer and a Hall County Sheriff's deputy and an NSPD officer or trooper show up at the same incident, they understand generally what the tactics are going to be on how they operate, so they can operate together seamlessly to enter the location and to deal with the threat.
The K-12 school shooting database says that the Georgia shooting is the 218th time a gun has been fired or brandished at a school in 2024. Here in Grand Island, an incident like that hasn't been reported, but local authorities and officials say they are prepared.
I have kids of my own that are in school as well. And so that's always a concern because you see that sensationalized on the national media, and it is something that does happen. So we have to be aware of it. We have to train for it.
In Grand Island, Ana Ruth Lugo Mejia, New Channel, Nebraska.
A manhunt is ongoing for a suspect who authorities say shot into 9 cars on an interstate in Kentucky. 5 people were seriously injured, and a major interstate was closed for hours. Now residents in a rural community are being urged to stay indoors as police search for the suspect. Rob Kirkpatrick has more.
Police in Kentucky are searching for a suspect they say shot into 9 cars on Interstate 75 south of Lexington on Saturday. 5 people were seriously injured, but the Laurel County Sheriff's Department said all victims are in stable condition.
All of a sudden, we just heard this deafening loud sound, and it sounded like a rock went through my back window, and our ears were ringing, and we just looked at each other, and we were like, was that a gunshot?
The shooting occurred Saturday afternoon near London, Kentucky, a rural town south of Lexington. I-75 was shut down for hours, and a manhunt is underway for the suspected shooter. Police say this man, 32-year-old Joseph A. Couch, is the main suspect and urge the community to remain vigilant.
We're asking people too, if you think you hear something outside of your home, please do not go outside shooting. Our officers could be in that area.
The search, coordinated by the Sheriff's Office, resumed Sunday morning with the help of multiple law enforcement agencies, including a drone with infrared heat sensing technology. Officials say they know the general area of Couch's location, but the terrain is rugged with lots of trees.
It's a large area. We're just going to have to start from where we have anticipated that he possibly was, and we are looking for spent rounds.
It's unclear what the motive is for the shooting, and authorities say Couch is considered armed and dangerous. I'm Rob Kirkpatrick reporting.
It's one of the richest jackpots on record, and tomorrow people will get another shot at trying to capture the Mega Millions prize. The jackpot now $800 million after no one picked the correct numbers during Friday's drawing. This will be the game's 7th largest jackpot. The biggest win, $1.6 billion in August of last year. Don't get your hopes too high, though. The odds of winning remain long at about 1 in 302 million. In sports, Nebraska leaned heavily on their run game in their 28-10 win over Coach Prime in Colorado on Saturday, but no one saw more touches or gained more yards than Dowdell. He caught up with our own Jake Bartecki after the Big Reds' big win.
17 carries for 77 yards and 2 touchdowns tonight for Dowdell. Dante, first of all, take me through what that game was like, and you got the place jumping with that first touchdown. Had to be a fun experience.
It was just nice, the O-line did well up front, open up some holes, and my eyes got big, I just try and pull my wheel on defense and make things happen.
You take a look at that game, you guys win 28-10, and there was a lot of talk, there was a lot of attention on this game. For you guys to go out and put on the performance that you guys did on that national stage in front of a national audience, what does it say about what you guys are capable of for the rest of this season?
There was never no doubt that we would go win that. We do, from everything we do so many hard things to, not be the team of Colorado. We're not even looking at Colorado. The goal wasn't to beat Colorado, it's to be playing in the after season, make it to the playoffs and national championship.
Well, that would sure be nice. Nebraska would love to make a bowl game this season. You got one more game coming up before you get into conference play with Northern Iowa next week. Matt Rule said something that I think resonated with a lot of players and I think makes a lot of sense, and said the team's not really in a spot right now to look beyond where the next game is. How much do you agree with that, and how important is not looking beyond Northern Iowa? It's coming to town next weekend.
Well, we always say 1-0 every week, so You know what I'm saying? Most important opponent is the next opponent.
Awesome. Well, Dante, congratulations on the win. Thank you for your time.
All right, thank you.
That's Dante Dowdell covering the Huskers. Jake Bartecki, NCN Sports Now.
And now Nebraska football officially back on the national radar. The Cornhuskers cracked each of the major top 25 polls released yesterday evening. Nebraska entering the Associated Press rankings, number 23, while they came in 24th in the coaches poll. It's the first time since 2019 the Huskers have been ranked at any point. It was a week of upheaval in the rankings. 4 new entries in the AP poll, 3 in the coaches' top 25. 6 Big Ten teams are in this week's top 25. 7 Big Ten teams made up the coaches' poll. Nebraska's first test as a ranked team in 5 years comes Saturday at home against Northern Iowa. And that's sports for your Monday. Stick around. We've got more news and weather on the way. Thanks for joining us. Have a great day. You're watching News Channel Nebraska.